as we wait for the 2025 releases, there are still a few 2024 models left to review. Case in point, the high-end Hisense U9N. Some of you might be thinking, wait, what's the U9N? The U8N is all over our website, but the U9N isn't mentioned much. That's because it's not nearly as widely available as Hisense's other models. But it does exist! It slots in between the U8N and the Hisense UX as Hisense's high-end option. But is it worth getting over the other models? Hi, I'm Abby from RTINGS.com, and we're about to tell you. Most TVs look the same these days, but not this one. Look at how thick this thing is. That's because, like the Hisense UX, this TV has speakers on each side. At least it's entirely flat on the back, so it sits flush against the wall when wall-mounted. The thick panel does some heavy lifting on the image quality side, though. Its contrast is fantastic, as long as you have local dimming enabled. Not like anyone would buy a TV this expensive just to disable it, but you know, we're just checking. With local dimming on, the TV displays extremely deep blacks, which stay deep, even with bright highlights on screen. It also keeps blooming around highlights to a minimum and handles lighting zone transitions well. Although small, bright objects get very dim when they move quickly across the screen. The TV also has a fast backlight control feature that further improves lighting zone transitions. But it probably won't be worth it for most people, as it significantly reduces the TV's peak brightness and doesn't work in game mode or with VRR enabled. Still, if there's one TV where you could consider turning on that extra feature, it's this one. Because it is incredibly bright in HDR. It can hit upwards of 4,500 nits in a 2% window. Sure, it can't sustain this number for a long time, but at this rate, we'll soon need sunglasses just to watch TV. It's not the single brightest TV we've seen, but it's definitely impressive. At least the U9N is also slightly brighter in game mode. Most people won't notice, but it's still better than TVs that get much dimmer when gaming. One thing to note is that the TV's automatic brightness limiter is much more aggressive on the Hisense U9N than it is on something like the U8N. This means that while the U9N can indeed get very bright, its brightness drops noticeably when bright highlights take up a significant portion of the screen. As a result, some other models, like the U8N, maintain their brightness a bit better overall, even if they can't get as bright. We love it when bright TVs are also accurate in HDR. This one delivers. Still, it's not perfect. Blacks are slightly raised and the TV gets a bit too bright near its peak, while midtones are a tad too dark. But that's nitpicking, because overall, it's very close to perfect. In short, this is a bright and accurate TV in HDR. If you like vibrant colors, you'll love this TV. It uses quantum dots to achieve its fantastic HDR color gamut with superb tone mapping. Some colors are undersaturated in the Rec 2020 color space, but overall, it's a very colorful TV. Its color volume is outstanding, thanks to its excellent brightness and contrast. It has no issue displaying very bright, saturated colors, or dark, saturated colors for that matter. If you occasionally watch content in SDR, the U9N also has you covered. In fact, it might be too bright for most people in SDR, so you'll probably want to turn it down a notch. For those who don't want to calibrate their brand new expensive TV, you're in luck. The U9N is very accurate in SDR right out of the box. It's a bit too warm in its theater night picture mode, and its gamma is a bit too bright in most content, but only real purists will be able to pick up on that. Everyone else will be plenty satisfied. And if you do want to calibrate, at least the process is straightforward. It's also a great option for brightly lit rooms because it handles reflections extremely well. It doesn't matter if the glare comes from lights directly opposite the TV or just ambient light. The U9N deals with them very well without any rainbow smearing. LED TVs aren't typically amazing when it comes to viewing angle, especially compared to OLEDs, but this one isn't bad. It's not outstanding, but if you don't need to watch at extreme angles, you'll be fine. This might be Hisense's best 2024 offering for gamers. Why? Well, because it has everything you'd expect from a high-end set. It's extremely bright in game mode, features fast local dimming, has low input lag, a quick response time, and supports up to 144 Hz and 4K on its 2 HDMI ports. Its input lag is a little higher than some competitors, but the difference is negligible and won't be noticeable to most gamers. The real kicker here is that the U9N's response time stays consistent when VRR is enabled, unlike the lower-end models. This is pretty cool. Makes the TV stand out for gaming, and we hope to see this trend continue in Hisense's 2025 models. Finally, let's talk processing. It's solid, not mind-blowing, but solid. It cleans up macro blocking from low bitrate content quite well. So if you look for it, you might still notice some artifacts. It also upscales low-resolution content effectively, keeping details fairly sharp, though superfine details can be a bit muddled. Business as usual for upscaling, basically. However, it doesn't do as well with HDR gradients, producing some noticeable banding in grays and greens. It's not extreme, and most people won't be bothered by it, but it is there. So, should you buy this TV? Well, probably not. Don't get us wrong, the U9N is an awesome TV. It's just that it performs almost the same as the much cheaper Hisense U8N, making it hard to justify the higher price tag. Sure, the VRR feature on the U9N is finally fixed, but is that enough to make it worth nearly twice as much as the U8N? Probably not. Especially when you consider that, well, it does have a slightly faster local dimming feature, can get a bit brighter, and offers a wider viewing angle than the U8N. Most people will be just as happy with the U8N. Another alternative is the nearly identical TCL QM851G. Here, the U9N, again, wins on VRR handling, overall accuracy, and contrast with local dimming enabled. However, the QM8 gets even brighter in both HDR and SDR than the already bright U9N. So if you want pure eye-popping brightness, the TCL is a solid and cheaper choice. Well, that's it for our coverage of the Hisense U9N. What do you think? Do its advantages make it worth spending the extra money over the U8N or the QM8? Or would you rather save some cash? Let us know. Until next time, I'm Abby from Ratings.com, where we help you find the best product for your needs. But it does exist! Can I pop out from the side?
Yeah.
But it does exist. It does exist. But it does exist.
That's great.
It's real. It's really real. I promise.